The Boston Celtics are once again at the center of the trade conversation, and this time, the name gaining serious momentum inside league circles is Trey Murphy. What looked like a race between Western Conference teams is starting to shift, and the Celtics are positioned exactly where they like to be: silent, strategic, and ready to strike. Before we go deeper, if you care about Boston Celtics news, hit the like button right now, subscribe to the channel, and press the hype button, because what is developing around Trey Murphy could directly impact the Celtics championship window. For weeks, reports linked Murphy to franchises like the Los Angeles Lakers and the Golden State Warriors. Executives around the league believed his skill set would fit perfectly alongside established superstars in the West. But here is the detail many are ignoring. The Boston Celtics have the profile, the assets, and the competitive timeline that make far more sense. According to respected league insider Evan Siddery, multiple teams plan to pursue Trey Murphy this summer after prior inquiry before the trade deadline on the 6th day of February 2026. That information alone tells us one thing: the market for Murphy will be aggressive. Murphy is not just a complimentary wing. He is a 25-year-old, two-way forward, averaging 22.1 points, 5.7 rebounds, and 1.5 steals per game. He is shooting 47.6% from the field and 37.8% from three. Those are elite efficiency numbers for a long, versatile scorer who defends at a high level. Players with that profile do not become available often, especially not before their prime years. Now think about Boston. The Celtics value length, defensive flexibility, and perimeter shooting. Murphy checks every one of those boxes. He thrives in catch-and-shoot situations. He attacks the rim with controlled, minimal dribble. He impacts the defensive end nightly. In a Celtic system built around spacing and switchability, his presence would not be experimental, it would be surgical. Here is where urgency enters the conversation. Golden State has bigger names on its board, including Giannis Antetokounmpo and Kawhi Leonard. If those pursuits stall, they pivot hard to Murphy. That means Boston cannot afford to hesitate. The New Orleans Pelicans are already reconsidering whether they even want to move him, precisely because of his breakout production this season. This is where the Celtics must decide. Do they act decisive and position themselves ahead of Western Conference bidder? Or do they risk watching a perfect two-way wing land in a rival contender's rotation? Because if Boston makes the call and presents the right package this summer, this stops being speculation and becomes a statement. And if they do not, and Murphy ends up strengthening another title threat, the Eastern Conference race could look very different. So here is the real question. The Boston Celtics are monitoring a situation that could redefine their roster before the next season even begins. While the Sacramento Kings sit at 12 wins and 44 losses at the All-Star break, inside league circle, the real conversation is not about their record. It is about assets. And the Boston Celtics are paying attention. With 26 games left in Sacramento's season, 3 names are gaining relevance for Boston: Domantas Sabonis, Nick Clifford, Devin Carter. This is not random speculation. It is timing. It is market pressure. It is opportunity. Start with Domantas Sabonis. The Kings quietly explored his trade value before the deadline on the 6th of February, 2026. He has played only 19 games out of 56 due to injury. That detail mattered. His value right now is unstable. For the Boston Celtics, that creates leverage. Sabonis is a 3-time All-Star under contract through the offseason of 2028. When healthy, he's one of the most productive interior playmakers in the league. Boston has built an identity around spacing and versatility, but adding a front-court facilitator with playoff experience could elevate the offense into another dimension. The key question is health and price. If Sabonis closes the season strong, Sacramento may hesitate. If he struggles or the team prioritizes a reset, Boston could step in aggressively. Now consider Nick Clifford, drafted 24th overall. He recently posted a 30-point performance that forced executives to take notice. He's not just a scorer. He defends, he handles, he competes. For the Celtics, young controllable depth on the wing always has value, especially with salary structures tightening across the league. Then there is Devin Carter. The 13th overall pick in 2024 is averaging 14.6 points, 4.4 rebounds, and 4.2 assists over his last 5 games before the break. His perimeter shooting sits at 11.5% in that stretch. But the flashes are real. Boston values two way guards who can develop within a structured system. Here is where urgency increases. Sacramento is approaching a crossroads this offseason. They cannot afford to drift. If they commit to retooling, Boston must be ready with assets and clarity. Sabonis is the headline. Clifford and Carter are strategic pieces. The Celtics do not need a rebuild. They need precision upgrade. And if Brad Stevens believes Sabonis can be acquired below peak market value while adding young depth in the same the Boston Celtics are closely monitoring a situation that could force a major decision this offseason. The name is Cam Thomas. Free agency is approaching, and what he does over the next stretch of game may directly impact Boston's strategy. While other franchises were aggressively chasing big names before the trade deadline on the 6th of February, 2026, the Celtics stayed disciplined. That restraint now looks strategic, because instead of committing massive salary to a high-risk star, earning $125 million over the next 3 seasons, Boston could be evaluating a different path. A scorer entering his prime, about to hit the open market. Cam Thomas is not an established All-NBA player. He is not marketed as a franchise savior, but here is the detail that matters. He produces. When given minutes, he scores in volume. He creates his own shot. He attacks mismatches, and most importantly, he is trending upward at the right time. This is where it becomes relevant for the Boston Celtics. Boston does not need a ball-dominant superstar. The Celtics need controlled offensive firepower off the bench or alongside their core. Someone who can generate points when playoff defenses tighten. Thomas on a minimum contract has already outperformed expectations elsewhere. Imagine him in a structured system, surrounded by space, accountability, and championship standard. There is also the financial layer. Boston must manage the cap carefully. Committing long-term money to the wrong player would limit flexibility. But acquiring a 23-year-old scorer whose market value is rising creates urgency. If he finishes the season strong, bidding increase. If Boston waits, another contender will step in. And here is the part that cannot be ignored. If Thomas proves over the final months that he can sustain efficient scoring under pressure, the Celtics front office will face a choice: stay conservative or make an unexpected move that strengthens the rotation without sacrificing the future. Because if Cam Thomas hits free agency with momentum and Boston hesitate, the Eastern Conference race could shift in a matter of days. So ask yourself this: should the Boston Celtics act now and position themselves ahead of the market for Cam Thomas, or risk watching a rising scorer become the missing piece for someone else? If you want continuous Boston Celtics update, urgency, and real analysis, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and press the hype button right now. The offseason is approaching fast, and Boston may be closer to a major decision than anyone realizes.